Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News. It's for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. The agricultural sector has received a boost of 6 million euros or 18 million Eastern Caribbean dollars from the 9.930 million euros or 27 million Eastern Caribbean dollars promised to this country under the European Union Banana Accompanying Measures or BAM program. The BAM program was introduced in 2009 to support diversification efforts and restructure the impact of the WTO decision to terminate preferential access to EU markets for African, Caribbean and Pacific countries. At a press conference held earlier today at Cabinet Room, EU Ambassador to the Eastern Caribbean, Michael Barford, explained that the program funds the construction of a greenhouse facility at Montreal Park and the upgrading of feeder roads valued at 2.3 million euros, the construction of a food science lab for 950,000 euros, and an on-farm infrastructure for banana and livestock for 1.8 million euros, as well as the upgrade of a packaging facility at Langley Park for 900,000 euros.
To strengthen the entire value chain by increasing production, exports and employment in the agricultural sector. Additionally, we are seeking to promote food and nutritional security and reduce the incidences of non-communicable diseases by making available healthy, safe and nutritious food on a sustainable basis at affordable prices. We also want to create an enabling environment for production and improve the marketing environment for small-scale commercial farming as well as family farm agriculture, given their role in the rural economy. These are very ambitious objectives going far beyond the building of facilities, and they can only be achieved if these are supporting agriculture and the farming communities in a sustainable way.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says the agreement was signed in March of 2013, is contracted for 5 years and is also aimed at creating sustainable development which will spill off into other areas of development and not just agriculture.
Including pest and disease control, marketing and compliance with standards and the inclusion of youth in agriculture. The implementation of the BAM, and I noticed that, involvement of youth in agriculture, and there are some specific interventions for youth in agriculture. The implementation of the BAM will result in improved agricultural infrastructure, good agricultural practices, improved capacity to access credit facilities, risk reduction, good environmental management systems, and land use practices, development of agribusinesses, improve institutional capacity and the strengthening of the public-private partnership in the value chain. The main purpose of the infrastructural component is to increase the provision of agricultural infrastructure, including, as His Excellency has said, a greenhouse park facility up at Montreal.
And Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar commended everyone who ensured that the project developed into a viable program which will impact the lives of many Vincentians. He emphasized that farmers and other persons in the society will have to be re-educated on techniques in farming so as to maximize production. Caesar also highlighted how pleased he is that the Langley Park Palletization Center in particular will be renovated and will facilitate other produce than just bananas.
The elements had its way with the palletization center, and the banana accompanying measures will be facilitating the rehabilitation of the center. But in going forward, bananas as a crop is not targeted as the main crop to utilize the center. In fact, we are seeing an array of goods. Already several cooperatives have been formed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and in that particular geographic area, and they are working out the details as to the management, and I want to assure the European Union that we will put the requisite framework in place so that the public sector, private sector partnerships needed for the proper functioning of these facilities, that it takes place, and it takes place in a timely manner.
outlining that although small island developing states are among the least responsible for climate change, Director of Economic Planning Laura Anthony Brown said these islands are most likely to suffer greatly from the adverse effects of this growing phenomenon. Speaking at the local launch of the Japan-Caribbean Climate Change Partnership, Anthony Brown reaffirmed her ministry's commitment to addressing the issue of climate change. The director thanked the government of Japan for undertaking such a great initiative and the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, for their role in the implementation of the project, noting that smaller states such as SVG do in fact need the assistance of the international community in order to tackle climate change.
Vincent and the Grenadines, therefore, like every other country in the world, has and is continuing to witness the deleterious impact of climate change, and it is therefore our responsibility to ensure that we take action to correct it. And so we are keen to ensure that this project is efficiently and effectively implemented. It is actually imperative that we do so. As presently designed, the project will support policy innovation through the development of adaptation plans and other measures.
Brown highlighted that the ministry, along with the UNDP, have conducted national consultations with stakeholders aimed at gathering information to be used for the identification of priority areas of intervention from available resources. She further added that her ministry will ensure that the resources are used in a transparent manner.
So hence the national consultations, and you have had your say, many of you here have had your say as to the particular direction that the project should take. So we want to assure the UNDP and the government of Japan that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will endeavor to implement this project efficiently and effectively. We have had good collaboration thus far, and we thank you for the support that you have continued to give in helping us to develop and implement this project. We really are sincerely grateful for this collaboration, and we look forward to continued working relationship with you.
The entrepreneur behind the successful movie town of Trinidad and Tobago, Derek Chin, is here in SVG exploring possible avenues for investment. At a media conference today, Chin said that he is excited for the opportunity to invest in SVG and is confident that he can replicate the success his company has had in Trinidad and Guyana, bringing sustainable benefits to SVG.
So we are here now in St. Vincent to look at the possibilities. We want to do something. So I want to do something that you, the people of this country, can be proud of, that they can benefit from it. We look at a lot of good jobs, they're not, you know, 1 month type jobs, they're sustainable. And I found that once you plant a seed, you know, it happens. In more and more things are added. The company has grown into a very, I would say, in TT dollars, in assets of over $1 billion. I started with very few dollars, and now it's just become to the point I might say, well, time to go public, right? But the Caribbean is where I grew up and where I was born, and I was born in Guyana. I live in Trinidad, and now I'm becoming partial honorary St. Vincentian. So I'm really a Caribbean man in the true sense, and to do things that, as I said, brings back the pride and shows what we can do.
Also speaking at the conference was Bernadette Ambrose, Executive Director of Invest SVG, who stated that Mr. Chin is an investor with a good track record and is convinced that his investment is of socioeconomic importance to SVG.
I aggressively and strategically targeted Mr. Derek Chin for over a year. The first meeting, the initial meeting, was quite a good one, quite a fruitful one. And I asked the Honorable Prime Minister if he would consider meeting with Mr. Chin himself. And that began the courtship of Movie Town and the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I am very positive about this investment. Mr. Chin is a credible investor. His track record speaks for itself. And I look forward to it enhancing development, socioeconomic development, employment generation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is something that is needed here, and I think it will aptly complement the opening of Argyle International Airport.
With the youths being bombarded daily with outside influences, be it through culture, music and entertainment, etc., there are concerns about their future and their contribution to nation building. While these concerns are understandable and legitimate, there is still hope from those who are putting their creative and intellectual skills to use, accomplishing much at young ages. SVG-TV's Fia King interviewed a few of these inspirational youth and shares their story.
Whether in the field of science, technology, sports, and entertainment, the youth of SVG continue to make ways for themselves, getting involved in competitions, events, and receiving various awards. The selected young people you see in this series are just a few who are making a contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines' development. Cenas Hines is a 20-year-old entrepreneur and resident of the Layou area. After having graduated from the St. Vincent Grammar School and SVGCC, he continued on to greater things. One of his greatest accomplishments is creating and launching his very own app named Conservi.
Conservi, it's a social promotions mobile app that shows deals and promotions and events for businesses in your area. We've been working really hard with the development of the app, also working hand in hand with Flow to bring it to market. We've been invited by businesses and consumers in other countries to implement the service there in other countries.
And Hines didn't stop there. He went on further by even writing a book which took him years of dedication to complete.
This is The Eclipse, my novel, which is 80,000 words plus. It's a full fictional novel which you can actually get at the Jujube bookstore or on Amazon for purchase.
Hines has also participated in many competitions, locally, regionally, and internationally, receiving awards along the way.
First competition would definitely be the I-Squared, NTRC I-Squared competition. My team actually placed third for that competition. And from there I went on with Lime, where I won their app development competition. I went to Panama last year for the TIC Americas innovation competition, which I attended as a finalist. I was a finalist for Web Summit, which is a global event for entrepreneurs. Collision Summit, which is also a global event. Wolf Summit, which is also a global event, being held in Dublin, Ireland, and Orlando. Early this year, I was a finalist for the Returning Nationals competition in Trinidad, and also being a finalist for Caribbean Innovation Challenge, which I actually won just a couple of days ago.
Okay, and what advice would you give to young aspirational Vincentians?
I would definitely say to never give up, as much as it really sounds cliche. It's something that I wholeheartedly believe in. You should strive, work hard towards what you want, always set very achievable goals.
Hines says he wishes to continue in the field of entrepreneurship and hopes to continue on his path of success in SVG. Fia King, reporting for SVG-TV Evening News.
In Carnival Beat this evening, calls for more cooperation between Carnival shows promoters, the police, and other security personnel were made as industry stakeholders discussed the issue of adequate and safe parking, as well as general safety of patrons attending Carnival events on Sunday's edition of Hits Talk. Soca artist and event promoter Orandi Bomani Charles noted that promoters continue to face various challenges as they try to host not just a cost-effective event, but one with the right ambiance, which has led to many to branch into suburban areas, leading to issues relating to parking and security. Charles added that while many promoters have implemented several initiatives to combat the issue of vehicle break-ins, the issue still remains a challenging one.
Now using portable flood lamps, and that has helped in recent years. The Victoria Park, the Anglican Church, there's a parking area there that's used, but we've seen instances where people park all along the River Road, all the way up to Stony Ground area. There's a area there that's a bit dim in terms of lighting, and we've seen where break-ins have occurred there. So it depends on the venues that we select as promoters. We can be hamstrung sometimes in finding appropriate venues for the size of crowd that we're trying to cater to.
Assistant Superintendent of Police Christopher Benjamin said the RSVG police force remains committed to the upkeep of law and order during the Carnival season and will do their utmost to ensure that persons and their property are secure. Benjamin, however, noted that the police face many challenges, with one being manpower, and is calling on promoters to have dialogue with the police to ensure that their events can be adequately policed.
The promoters, all those who take part in activity around this time, sit down, agree to time and venues for the activity so that we won't find 6-7 activities taking place at the same time, and we can add values to the activity itself, Carnival. So that, because we love to brag and boast and say we have the best in the region, most safe, so that everybody could come and enjoy it. We want to keep it that way. So we need to come to the table and look at venues, dates, so that it won't be a challenge to the police to provide security in manning all these activities.
Meanwhile, Peter Van Werven, the general manager of Guardsmen, said his company is ready and willing to work with the police and the CDC in providing security for Carnival events, and noted that many private security firms have the manpower and capacity to deliver adequate security.
But the duties of the police are to protect the public. They are not necessarily tasked in any other part of the world to secure party venues. They are to police, to catch thieves, detect crime, traffic, that sort of thing.
But that's what I'm talking about.
But then what needs to be done is that there needs to be a hands-off approach and allow the private sector players to bid or tender for these events and provide effective security arrangements for the functions, because we have the capability.
The Carnival Development Corporation held its last media conference for the festive season today. Speaking on behalf of the Festival Shows Committee, Ann Miller outlined the list of events to be held in the coming days and weeks ahead, noting that Fantastic Friday is set to kickstart the grand celebration of Vincy Mass this Friday, June 24th, 2016. Miller further stated that the event will see 22 Calypsonians who will be vying for the 10 spots to compete in the finals against reigning monarch Zamfir Manzangi Adams.
You have to be at the Victoria Park to witness this cultural package and great calypso. Mr. Cabo Bennett will tell you about the calypsonians that we have vying for the 10 spots. But I would like you, the public, to know that following the competition, we have our featured guest artist, none other than Winston Suso. The CDC encourages local artists, and we like to have an all-local show. We like to feature our seasoned artists where our young people would learn from, and we think that they have been doing a great job thus far, and we continue. So we expect to have Winston Suso on the Fantastic Friday, bringing the curtains down.
As for Junior Carnival, to be held this Saturday, Miller says the event will see the participation of 14 mass bands who will try to wrestle the title away from Blondie Bird and Friends. Miller said she is also pleased to see the participation of 25 young artists who will compete in the Junior Calypso and Soca competitions next Tuesday, June 28th.
This year, we have 25 Calypsonians, 10 new artists, 7 Calypsonians and 3 soca artists will be on competition this year. And I must say that's great, especially we think that Calypso is dying, and to have 10 new juniors, I think it's a great achievement. This year, vying for the soca, we have Nathan Joseph from the Greg's Primary School, Larissa Collis, Bookerman Secondary School, Deontay Davis, West St. George Secondary School, Christiana Christopher, Thomas Saunders Secondary School, Omri Davy, New Prospect Primary, Sakura Lauren, Sandy Bay Primary School, Delanzo Lavia, Sandy Bay Secondary School, Delisha Bracken, Sandy Bay Secondary School, and Steons Inns, Trumaka Secondary School.
The representative of the CDC Shows Committee also used the opportunity to call for the revamping of Old Mass for this year's Juve Street Jump. She said young people are forgetting what Juve is all about and from where it originated.
This year we are going to try to increase the number of Old Mass because we tend to think that a lot of people now go towards the oil paint bands, the big music bands. This year, we're going to try and bring a lot more Old Mass, bring a lot more entertainment. Let us remember what Juve was. Let the young children know and understand what is Old Mass, what is Juve. It's not all about the oil paint, you know, the craft of the young men. So this year, it's no exception. Then we have the Mardi Gras. This year, we are asking non-masqueraders to come to the park. Don't stay on the street. Come to the park. You are missing a spectacle when you see those bands parade in the streets. But trust me, it's nothing compared to what is in the park.
And coordinator of Rural Carnivals, Ezzy Roberts, is feeling a sense of contentment as he said this year's Rural Carnivals proved to be a major success. Speaking with SVG-TV News, Roberts said the carnival committees for the respective rural carnivals must be commended as all activities proceeded smoothly without any disruption of violence. He, however, noted while there is room for improvement in some aspects of the rural carnivals, it's nothing the CDC or the committees cannot remedy.
Specifically for some of the rurals, there are areas of weaknesses that we can always look at and try to improve for next year. The committees often find themselves in situations where, because it's voluntary service, a number of persons may tend to leave the committee and then you have some new persons coming on for the first time. So sometimes it's understandable that some persons are green in certain areas and so on. So once we are able to point out the weaknesses for improvement the following year, then we will see improvement as we go along.
The Rural Carnivals coordinator added that over time, the CDC has taken a decision to merge several rural carnivals to minimize the frequent occurrence of clashes, and this has proven to be successful thus far.
Well, we have had 12 rural carnivals previously, official rural carnivals, and we reduced the number to 8, and we did it through mergers, right? So we had merged East and West St. George, made it St. George's. We had carnivals in Bayaboo, South Rivers, and Georgetown, and we merged that and called that Windward Carnival. And also on the leeward side, we had Barley and Layo merged and call it Central Leeward Carnival. Now, the reason why we did that, one of the reasons was to reduce the number of clashes, like you're identifying. So what we are having now, you're having some clashes, but we are spacing out the clashes, so to speak, as you know, in this case, you have Georgetown on one end and Shatterbilly on the other end, basically having carnivals. So it's a clash, yes, but it's not a major issue because of the distance apart.